Alright, hello and welcome back. Today we are just going to be discussing a transfer roundup. As everybody probably knows, the winter transfer market is now at a close, so no more transfers will be had, at least in Serie A. And so we're going to go over Milan's transfers both in and out, and I'll give a rating. Ratings are going to be based kind of like how you rate a player rating after a match. So your kind of average stock, pretty good, is going to be a 6. Anything below that is considered below average or bad. Anything above that is considered above average or good. So we'll get started with some of the outgoing transfers here. First, we're going to start with a youngster, which would be Lorenzo Colombo. He is going out on loan. I believe he is going to Cremonese, which is a dry loan. There is no option to buy. I think this is perfect. He needs to play. He's not getting time here. I think he's got a ton of talent. He's definitely one to watch for the future, but he needs game time. He needs experience. And so this is perfect. So I like the fact that it's a dry loan. It is a good break from what we used to do in the past, where we would sell our young Italian talents for next to nothing, and then a couple years later they turn out to be very good prospects, and there you go. Now we are left biting the bullet, such as with Brian Cristante, with Andrea Petagna, and many, many more. So I really like that we didn't put an option to buy in here. I like that we didn't do a 50-50 buy. It's just a dry loan. We're planning on Colombo coming back. Perfect. I think that works very well for us. Transfer rating for Colombo, 8 out of 10. It's the right move. It's the move that we should have made. I mean, you can't really give it a 10 out of 10 because it's not like, oh my God, what a perfect transfer we're bringing in, but it's a very good move. It's smart. 8 out of 10. All right, next up is going to be another Italian player who will be leaving us here. That is Andrea Conti, the right back that we brought in from Atalanta a little while ago. He was a super promising player and had all the makings of being a star when he started off, and then the injury happened and he never got better, really. I mean, when he came back, he just wasn't the same. He lost that spark, he lost that speed, that acceleration, that driving pace that he had, and that really, in my opinion, ruined his career. I hope he finds his form again over at Parma. I did start to see him start to improve here this past season, so I actually was leaning towards keeping him. If it was me, I still would have kept him. He doesn't have an incredibly high salary. We could have kept him on the books here. It wouldn't have been too bad to have him as a backup to Calabria, and we wouldn't have had to go out and search for anybody. So I think that would have been a good idea to keep him. I do understand the sale. This one to me is neither here nor there. I believe the cost would be $7 million to Parma if they do exercise the obligation to buy or the option. Obligation is pretty low. I believe it's just if they avoid relegation, which Parma's definitely going to avoid relegation. They're a good side. So it's pretty much a sure thing. Andrea Conti will be at Parma, and $7 million. I think we could have gotten a lot more from him. I would have let him play for a year, personally. I feel like he was starting to finally get himself back. I would have kept him and not offloaded him. Also, if you wanted to sell him, let him play for a little bit, bump his value up, and you can probably get somewhere between 10 and 15 million if he starts actually playing well again. A little too soon in my opinion, so this one I'm going to give a 6 to 6.5. I feel like this is kind of average, so let's just go with a 6 out of 10 here. All right, next we are going to go with Leo Duarte. Leo Duarte is a Brazilian center back that we brought in. Never really lived up to expectations. To be completely honest, though, he never really played that much. I mean, I get it. Maybe he wasn't showing too much in practice or whatnot. I have no problems with him being loaned out here. The issue with this transfer is that we have no idea what the option to buy is. So if it's something reasonable, something close to around 10 million, great, awesome. I think we'll take that. Getting his salary off our books, at least getting back the money that we spent on him sounds fine. Let's just face it didn't really work out for us, and it seems like we have a pretty finite direction of what we want to go with. I feel like Maldini wants one fast, strong one-on-one defender, which is why he's looking at guys like Tomori, who we'll get to later in this episode here. And then he wants one kind of more tactical, strategic defender like Kaya Romagnoli type of mold. So I feel like that's the combination he wants to go to. Duarte really doesn't fit that, so this one's fine. I think there's really not much more you could ask for this one, as long as the option is a good fee. I wish him the best, and this one gets a 7.5 out of 10. As I said, what more can you really ask for? All right, so now we're going to move into the transfers that we are bringing in. And we're going to start up front with Mario Mandzukic. So Mario Mandzukic we actually brought in on a free transfer here. Essentially, we wanted a backup to Ibra. I think this is a very, very smart signing. He's physical, he's aggressive, he's the type of player that you want on your team. He's very annoying to play against, and truthfully, I think that's great. We've got Zlatan. He's kind of a nice physical beast up there. Mandzukic can do a very similar thing. No, he's nowhere near the level of player of Zlatan, but he's been there, done that. He knows how to win, And once he gets a little bit more match fitness ready to go, he's going to be a great backup to have. He can also play up top with him. Yes, he can play out wide as well. I don't think he fits our system as a wide winger, but he can play there in emergency. I wouldn't like to see him there, though, to be honest. If we're going to run Mandzukic and Ibra, I'd rather see more of like a 4-4-2 type of formation coming out where we run him up top with Ibra. Either way, this is about as good as you can get for a free transfer. We needed a backup. We brought in a guy who's got experience. He can score goals. He's got fight. He's got drive. Why not? Mario Mandzukic, 8.5 out of 10. How do you go wrong with a free transfer and a guy who's actually a champion and has been there and won things? I mean, you really don't go wrong with that. Next up was going to be Sawaliho Meite. This is a player that we got from Torino. He is a center mid who is 26 years old, I believe. And I think we got Meite for a loan with an option to buy, which is great. Very, very smart dealings from Maldini and company once again. I think that the initial loan was a 500,000 euro loan, which is completely fine. And the buyout, I believe, is somewhere between 8.5 and 10 with bonuses. I'm not exactly sure the makeup, but I believe I'm going to end up paying somewhere between 8 to 10 overall if we do sign him outright. I'm not very excited about this transfer. I don't think that Meite has the skills nor the actual physicality to do well here. He looks like he's built well, but he just doesn't use his body the same way as a Kerkez uses it. I don't know. It's kind of a good stopgap signing, I guess. The way that I think about this is, if you look at it from a purely strategic move, it's 500,000 euros, which is not that much for a club to pay out here. It gives us an upgrade to Krunic. Maybe. It's a possible upgrade to Krunic. We really don't know that yet. But it gives us some more depth in the midfield, which we are running low on because once Benacer got injured, if one of Tonali or Kessie goes down, we're starting Rade Krunic. And we saw that even Davide Calabria was a much better midfielder than Rade Krunic. So, I guess it's a good idea just to bring in some extra depth. To be completely honest, though, this is not the type of signing that I would have gone for. I have a different idea in mind. I thought that we could have gone with more of an unknown talent like a Jordi Schoten from Bologna. I think he plays great. He's really, really smart. Nobody's really talking about him. That's one of my kind of low-key signings there. I think would be awesome for us. I would have much rather gotten him over Meite, but it is what it is. Well, we have Meite now. I'm not very excited about it. It is a smart signing. It may not be a very great signing. Already in his first few games, he's given away some silly fouls, hasn't really created too much. Seems a little bit timid on the ball, doesn't seem to have great skills yet, and he's already made some pretty big errors that led to goals. And to put the cherry on top, he had the foul that led to Eriksson getting the game-winning kick against us in the recent derby in the Coppa Italia. That being said, it really wasn't too big of a foul, so I can't blame him too much there, but he has not been good so far. We'll see what's to come, but you know what the great thing is? Maldini and Massara put just as an option to buy, so if he steps it up and does great and surprises everybody, it's not that expensive. 8 to 10 million for a solid midfielder, great. Otherwise, if he continues to do poorly, we just don't have to redeem his option. We paid 500,000 euros, is what it is, send him back. All right, next up is going to be a youngster who we just made a deadline day deal for, Milos Kerkez. He is from Hungary. He is a left back. I believe he's only 17 years old, so he is definitely a youngster, but he looks pretty promising. Now, this was one of the scouting options by Moncada again, and so we're going to see how he performs, but we got him for next to nothing. He has a lot of promise, and really the idea was to kind of groom him, let him grow here, and see if he can become a backup to Theo Hernandez. The goal would be to keep Diogo Dalot. Dalot can play on the right or the left. Ideally, he's probably going to be the right-sided backup to Calabria, or they can share time based on game minutes and whatnot. I think that the goal is to have Kerkez be the left backup for Theo Hernandez. I guess overall I don't really see too much of a point of it. We could have just kept Conti, and then we have Conti plus Dalot backing up, but I think they're kind of hedging their bets, and they bought a very cheap player who has a lot of potential just in case we don't redeem Dalot. If we redeem Dalot, he's going to be our first backup. I actually really like having him here because he's a quality backup for either the left or the right side. I actually think I like him better on the left, but that's just my opinion. Either way, it's a smart signing. We're super cheap. I don't really know the fee, but it was dirt cheap. So I think I got to give this one 8 out of 10. If he doesn't work out, it's really no harm, no foul. It is what it is. I actually might bump this to an 8.5 because there's just so low risk here, and there's only upside. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 here. Last but not least, we get to probably the most interesting signing of the entire market here for us. That's going to be Fikayo Tomori. This is a player who, in my opinion, just has loads of potential. If he can realize his potential and really get there, he could be a top center back in the world for years to come. So we'll see how this one turns out. His strengths are obviously his speed. He has very, very blazing speed. He's decently strong. He's not, incredibly physical, but he's decently physical at least. He's good at one-on-ones. He gets it real tight to his marker and he plays strong. He may not physically be that strong, but he plays strong, and I really like that. His marking is okay. He's fast, so he can kind of make up for some of his mistakes, but he does leave people. In the first few games that he's played for us, he's left his marker a few times. He gets a little bit too far up into midfield because he kind of relies on his speed too much, and in my opinion, that's going to cost him against smart opponents. So against like the more physical opponents and the ones who he knows what's coming at him, I think he's going to do great. But against those kind of slick opponents who just kind of lull you asleep and then go past you, for example, like Josip Ilicic or something like that, I feel like that's where he's going to struggle. As well, his aerial marking, so far from what we've seen from Chelsea and whatnot, has been pretty average. So those are the things he's got to work on. If he can work on aerial marking and just marking in general in positional sense, if he gets there, this is going to be a top signing. So Tomori is the type of guy who he's either going to be a 6 to 6.5 out of 10 type of signing, or he's going to be a 9 out of 10. It's just the way it's going to go. So if I'm going to go somewhere in between that, let's go 7.5, but I like him. I think it's an 8. So I'm going to give Tomori an 8 out of 10. The reason being is because, once again, the structure of the deal. Yes, is it a high option to buy at 28 to 30? Yes, it is. That is a high amount of money to shell out for a center back. But if he pans out and turns out to be awesome, then it's a very reasonable price to pay for a top center back. If he doesn't, we send him back. So it's really, once again, just great dealings by Maldini and Massara. We loaned out our youngsters without risk. We're going to get them back, unlike what we've done in the past. We didn't take much risk bringing people in with Meite, Tomori. It's all loans. We brought him a free transfer with Mandzukic. We basically spent nothing this transfer window, and it's all speculation, and we've added to our depth. For me, I always like to see us bring in an Italian player or two. I know that Milan is really going down this path of only buying cheap players, and most of the time they're not Italian. I really like that Italian core, but it is what it is. We had a really smart transfer window, and I can't really knock it. Overall, if I had to rate the window as a whole, I would go 8.5. I mean, maybe even a 9, because we spent almost nothing, and we've got a couple options that could be fantastic. In my opinion, the ones that could really pan out for us will be Mandzukic, Kerkez, and Tomori. Meite, I don't really have high hopes for. That's just my bet. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm really particularly excited about Tomori, and I think Mandzukic was probably the smartest signing of the whole window for us. That's it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this transfer window. I feel like Milan added to their depth. I hope that they're able to keep it going, and the main thing I want to see is I don't want to see us change what's been working for us. Yes, we brought in depth, but don't change things up. Tomori is going to find some games here and there. He's going to be playing here and there, and I like that because he's the one we really got to test out. Meite, I don't want to see him on the field unless we are without Benacer, Kessie, or Tonali. I think it's totally pointless to play him there. He's not going to be our long-term all-star. Just make him be a backup if we need him. That's fine enough for us. I want our midfield to work as it's been working because we've been winning games the entire season like that. The only games we've looked shaky in recently have been games we've really mixed up and not had one of our top 3 midfielders in there. Also, it's been really hurting us without Çalhanoğlu. So that may be an area we need to start looking at a real backup for. If Diaz is going to be the guy, great, but we'll see. So very, very excited for what's to come. I hope Milan can hold on to the Scudetto this season. I think it's going to be a really tough ask as Juventus and Inter are just raring to go, and they have on paper better teams. In my opinion, if there's going to be a winner, it's probably going to be Juve. I just feel like they have that Champions mentality in Serie A, but I'm holding my hopes up for Milan. Either way, let me know what you guys think about the transfers. If you want to type your own ratings down there, or just kind of give me your thoughts on how I rated them versus what you think or what your own opinions are on them, let me know. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. You have a great day, and as always, Forza Milan.